both same numbers as Luka. They're both in that 7 to 9 years of service range. 4 years up to $229 million. Potentially could be 222. First year salary, extension, which would be next year, 26-27, would be between $49 and $51 million. That is the last year Victor Wembanyama is on his rookie scale contract. Victor is extension eligible next year. What does that mean as far as from the Spurs perspective? You would have a little bit of cap space potentially in the summer of 2026 before Victor's number kicks in. De'Aaron Fox is a really good player. Is he a top 25 player? I don't think so. Is he a max player? That's for the Spurs to determine. Would he be a max player if you already had two max? If he was in Denver, would he, based on their finances, would he be a max player? No, I don't. I think you have to be careful handing out $51, $52 million contracts to really good players who are top starter level or who are not an all-star. And that's how I kind of stand. I'm not going to crush San Antonio if they don't give De'Aaron Fox a max contract, but I think everything is kind of circumstantial. Circle back a little bit to the Lakers real quick, and we'll put out some graphics when Luka does extend. Summer of 26 could have potentially $50 million in cap space. Summer of 27, nearly $100 million in cap room. This is without, certainly without LeBron on there. So they'll be able to shape that roster however they want to do. So those are the two extension guys to keep an eye on. Certainly the article that we have up on ESPN.com. And then the other thing, of course, is the restricted players, which is Jonathan Kuminga, Josh Giddey, Quentin Grimes, and Cam Thomas. Kuminga, of course, because basically Golden State has not signed anyone, it continues to be the highlight out of the group here. And Jonathan Kuminga will have a decision. He posted a picture. He said, bet on me. There is that $8 million qualifying offer that's sitting there. That will sit there until October 1st. And then once October 1st, unless Golden State decides to extend it, there will be no more qualifying offer. And Jonathan Kuminga will still be a restricted free agent without an $8 million number to work off of. And why this is not a win-win for anybody here is because I look at it from Golden State's perspective. And Shams and Anthony Slater have reported 2 for $45 million, which is a fair deal when you look at it with a team option in the second year, when the only restricted free agent that have signed for more than $20 million in the last 3 years have been, in the first year, Tyrese Maxey. We can kind of throw him off the board. Cam Johnson and Emmanuel Quickley. The Emmanuel Quickley contract, that 5 for what is like 150 in bonuses and almost gets to 160, has totally screwed up restricted free agency, because that's where agents are looking at like the benchmark. Certainly Josh Giddey's like, I want that contract there. That number has screwed up a lot of things, and that is why you can't use comps as far as that. It's a rich contract. I don't think Toronto got enough heat, I guess, for that number, because Emmanuel Quickley is not a $32, $33 million guy. I don't know why we're talking about Emmanuel Quickley, but that contract basically has screwed up, certainly, restricted free agency a bit, because players are like, I want that number, and teams are like, nope, there's nobody out there with room here. So I do think, regarding Giddey, he's going to have two options here. The sign and trade options are off the board. They're not going to be around existing, because I've said this before, how the rules work, and I said this. There are two ways to look at the apron. When you would sign and trade a player to a team, the team acquiring that player is hard capped at the first apron. When you sign and trade a player and then base year comes into play, basically Kuminga is getting a bigger a raise. So base year means it's going to be 50% of his salary in outgoing. So if Jonathan Kuminga is making $23 million, his salary for outgoing is $11.5. You are likely going to be taking back more salary in incoming contracts. If you acquired Malik Monk, congratulations. You are now hard capped at the first apron because of the ability that Kuminga, $11.5 and $8 million and $18 million works, but now you won't be able to fill out the rest of your roster with players on minimum contracts, even Al Horford here, because you are $25 million. You're $25 million without any salary under the first apron. You trade out Kuminga, which is really no salary, and you take back 18. Now you're $7 million. You won't have the ability to go out and fill out your roster. That's why I keep on saying about the sign-in trade is such. It's extremely difficult unless you've got a third team involved like Brooklyn that's basically taking back all this money. So for Kuminga, the qualifying offer, when I say it's not a win-win, it's probably more of a lose-lose. It's probably more of a lose for Golden State, is because how I look at it for Golden State, and I'm not saying Golden State should panic and all of a sudden offer 3 for $80 million. How I look at it for Golden State is that Jonathan Kuminga now is on a one-year deal at $8 million. He has a de facto no-trade clause. He can veto any trade. Okay. If he gets traded, he loses his bird rights. If you are looking to go out and make trades this summer, trading Jonathan Kuminga on when we get into January 15th, trading Jonathan Kuminga at a $22 million salary is a lot easier than trading Jonathan Kuminga at an $8 million salary. If you are ready to go hunting for a big name. God forsake, what happens if an all-star becomes an all-NBA player becomes available? You do not have the contracts unless you're trading Draymond and Jimmy Butler to go out and do that. Because now you basically have Kuminga at 8, you have Moody at 11, you have Buddy at $8 or $9 million. You don't have the numbers to stack. That's why getting Kuminga on a 2-year deal at that 45 number is a perfect solution for Golden State, but it takes 2 to tango, and it requires Jonathan Kuminga to sign that number. And if Jonathan Kuminga is comfortable going into free agency next year as an unrestricted free agent and bypassing this year, which is basically a net loss of $14 million, and then have the faith that he can recoup that, or maybe that he doesn't believe that Golden State is the right team for him moving forward as far as where his role is. And it's not our deal, our job to talk about money. Well, it is my job to talk about money. But it's about what if Jonathan Kuminga decides to take it, the qualifying offer and leaves $14 million on the table this year, that's going to be the decision that he has to live with, and we'll see how that plays out long term. So that is it in a nutshell here. We talked about certainly the article that's on ESPN.com, Mikal Bridges, Luka, De'Aaron Fox, Kuminga, and the restricted players. As I said, we're basically kind of in this little bit of a dead period now. We don't have the Olympics like we did last year. We'll wait to see the schedule coming out. My summer project, I'm studying the WNBA CBA. That is my summer project. I just did a 25-page PowerPoint on all pertinent information. Herhoopsstats.com.